Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm doing Where Are They Now for May. The past 5 years of May specifically, 2019 through 2023, going over a few games every single month that I've played and talking about how time has adjusted for those. Many of those are gone, but many of those also lasted a long time, so let's go ahead and start off with May of 2019 and talk about a few games there. Starting with Guards of Atlantis, a game I still have in my collection. A game I played the original Guards of Atlantis, and by the way, usually these are games that I played for the first time in that month. Not always, but usually they are. Guards of Atlantis, though, played it for the first time, the original first edition of the game, really enjoyed it, and was looking forward to the second edition when that eventually launched on Kickstarter. They had a reprint on GameFound since then, but I overall really enjoyed the game. I do find it's one that I don't love as much as when I first played it, although love is not necessarily the right word so much as playability. I find that that is a game that plays best at 4 players, and I just find that there's so many games that are demanding my attention at 4 players that it just doesn't hit the table all that much. So it's still here for right now because, well, frankly, I like it enough I have a hard time getting rid of it, but it's not a game that gets played often because of that 4-player limitation. You could play it at two players. There's a head versus head. I don't think it's as good. There's a 3-player mode. I don't think it's as good. I think 4 or 6 players is really where the game shines, and 4 is usually where I would play it. There's just a lot of competition for my 4-player game nights. Food Chain Magnate. That's another one that I don't play all that often, but this is not going anywhere. I love this game. It plays great at 3 or 4 players. I don't know if I've ever played it at 2. I wonder how 2 would work. I don't think it would work as well, but maybe. Food Chain Magnate is mentally draining when you play it. Again, played it for the first time in May 2019. In fact, it's one of the first videos I ever did on the channel because one of my first videos was a response to Tom Vassell basically saying, hey, didn't love Food Chain Magnate. He had a first impressions video, played Food Chain Magnate, didn't get why people loved it, and I did a response video to that at the time. Not really a review so much as just going over his criticisms, which I think are all fair in general. That whenever you find a game that you love and someone else doesn't love it, especially if they're public about not loving it, you'll get a lot of feedback. To this day, my most disliked video is my video on Blood on the Clock Tower because there's a passionate group of people who love that game, and they're upset that, in their opinion, I've played it wrong every single time I've played the game. I've also played it like 5 times by now with different groups of people. Either way, side tangent there. Food Chain Magnate. It's one that I definitely felt. I felt that everything Tom said was fair and genuine and reflected his experience, but I also tried being like, hey, here are things that I think could have been done differently to improve that experience. Doesn't mean he has to play the game. I don't think he's ever watched the video, but Food Chain Magnate still going strong in my collection. We also have Sylvion. Sylvion, part of the Oniverse, a game that I, again, played it for the first time in 2019, and I've had it for years. Recently, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, I finally got rid of my Oniverse collection. It took a while for that to happen. I love the Oniverse collection. I've played it so much, but I think part of the problem is I've played it so much. I find that to the point where I was like, you know what? I've played every game in the Oniverse at least 30 plus times-ish, somewhere in that range. I don't know, and some of them a lot more than that. Cassian, a game I've played a lot, and so I've enjoyed the puzzles, and I've optimized around the puzzles, and I think they're puzzles that I'm ready to move on from. At some point, I may have regrets. In general, when I get rid of games, there's always times I do regret it, I want them back, and there's always times where I'm like, you know what? I'm comfortable with the decision I made, and in the case of Sylvion, it's too easy to tell. Still a game I recommend. Great game. I think it's my 3rd favorite in the Universe. Either that or my 2nd favorite. Cassian's my favorite. It might be my 2nd favorite. I really like Sylvion. I really enjoy it. Anyways, Too Many Bones Undertow. I played Too Many Bones for the first time in 2019, May 2019, and I love that game. I love the entire Too Many Bones universe. I've played it a ton. I still have not played Unbreakable, unfortunately, the newer version of it, the newest version of the game. But Too Many Bones, this is when I fell in love with the game. I set it up for a while. I kept trying to table my way through it. I definitely had a rulebook that I found was hard and not the easiest to get into, but at the end of it was a game that I fell in love with very much. One of my favorite games of all time, Too Many Bones Undertow, still going strong. And to that end, so is Endeavor Age of Sail. Endeavor Age of Sail is a game that I actually think I will get rid of. I think it's going to be replaced by Endeavor Deep Sea, both from Burnt Island Games. But Endeavor Age of Sail, I played it for the first time in 2019. I have found it is one that's not the easiest to table. Plays well at 3 or 4 players, but my group at the time didn't love it. Although I'm realizing now I don't play it as much as my current dynamic group. I mean, groups in general has always been evolving over time, but there's usually at any given point there's always 2 or 3 regulars, and then there's like a bunch of like 4 or 5 other people that filter in or out. I think my more active people right now, my group right now, are not people who've played Endeavor Age of Sail, and so I do wonder if that could work for them. I might have to give that a shot. But I like the game. I like the game in general. I do find that the various modules for Endeavor Age of Sail always feel a bit clunky, but the core game I like. But I also like Endeavor Deep Sea a lot, and I'm hoping that one replaces Endeavor Age of Sail, but I refuse to let go of it until I have a chance to see. In May 2020, May 2019, by the way, is doing fairly well. 4 of those 5 games I still have, and the 5th one is one that I held on to for 4 years. In May 2020, I played Charterstone for the first time, which is actually a good timing because for the second time, I'm actually diving into Charterstone campaign again. I'm playing a 3-player game of Charterstone right now, diving into it for a second time, which is once again why legacy games for me aren't necessarily done. Sometimes the experience they gave me was worth playing again. In the case of, I've done Pandemic Legacy multiple times, and Charterstone, I'm almost finished my second campaign of it, going through the game. I like Charterstone, to the point that I'm playing a legacy game. I'm currently, I guess, if you count plays, I'm currently on my 22nd game of Charterstone, with 2 more to go to finish the current arc. So a game I enjoy, recommend, and went back to. It's a legacy game for Stonemaier Games. We have Parks. Parks is another game that I enjoy, held on to. I think it's an excellent game. Parks is one that I continuously recommend, both as solo, 2-player, 3-player. I do think I find 3 and 4-player the best. It's a little more cutthroat, a little more dynamic in that sense, and I really appreciate the decision-making you have to go through in those. But I still think Parks is excellent, and I still haven't played the expansions. Or have I? I read the rules for the expansions. I don't think I played them. We also have Monumental. Monumental, which I know is a sore spot for Monumental backers. I am fully aware of that. You can check out the Board Game Wire article on it if you want the most recent sort of update. Not really an update, but like semi-response. But in the case of Monumental, it's still a game that has held strong. It's actually a game I almost got rid of right after I played it a few times. I was ready to get rid of it. I enjoyed it, but I was like, I don't know if it's a keeper. But I was convinced by Jeremy Howard to hold on to it, and to that end, I have continuously held on to it, even as he finally got rid of his copy. But I think Monumental is great. I think that the 2-player mode is actually where I think the game is best. It gives you all the gameplay. All the best gameplay decisions are in the 2-player mode, but without the downtime of playing it at higher player counts. I'm still looking forward to the revised version, or the updated rule set, and the new content, if it ever shows up. Again, I'm a backer, and I'm just hoping it shows up one day, but we'll see how that plays out. But that's going to be Monumental. And then lastly, for May 2020, we have Macao, a game that actually hasn't lasted, but Macao is from Stefan Feld. I love Stefan Feld games in general, and I really enjoyed, well, almost anything he puts out. Macao is one that I did enjoy. I don't think I played this for the first time in May 2020. I think I played this for the first time before I logged plays, but then it came back after May 2020, and it's one that I've played through a bunch, and I think like there's also the new version from Queen Games. I think Macao is good, but it's not one that holds me as much as other games from him. And he's so many great games that I pick and choose the best ones for me. Macao isn't in the category of the best ones, but I do like the little rotating die mechanic, the idea of having your dice tick down or build up, I should say. A really clever mechanic. Anyways, past that, we have May 2021. We have Paperback Adventures, a game that lasted for a few years, but did finally leave maybe 6 months ago, 4 months ago, somewhere in that range. Paperback Adventures is great. I do find, though, that for me, the length of playing the full 3 arcs of it does mean that I rarely sit down to play all 3 arcs, and the game is a very good puzzly word game, but it doesn't do it for me as much as some other game systems do. So Paperback Adventures, good game, solid game, I still recommend it. I'd rather sit down and play Slay the Spire in general. Again, Paperback Adventures was a tough one, because when I played it, I was like, this is really a game that solves a lot of my issues with word games, and it does. But I don't pull it out and play it as often as I would like to for that kind of solo puzzle, and so for me, Paperback Adventures unfortunately did eventually leave a few years later. We have Fall of the Mountain King over here. I played the prototype of this one, still haven't played the final game. This goes back to that 4-player aspect, although realistically it's a good game at 3 players. I've played this one at 3 players and I've enjoyed it at 3 players. I should really just table it at 3 players and see how it goes, but it's a really enjoyable game. I love the little tile overlaying cards mechanism to try to maximize your action points while you try to drive things into the mines. Overall, really enjoyed it. I have not played the final game ever though, so I need to give this one a shot and see how well it does for me. But I remember really enjoying the prototype, so this is more of a I played it and I need to get back to it as opposed to anything else. We have The Witcher Old World, which I played and have gotten back to. In general, I remember at the time, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember at the time there were like 4 or 5 games I'd given like 5 out of 5s to, like Aquatica, Fall of the Mountain King, The Witcher Old World, some others that I'm not remembering. Maybe Mosaic I think got a 5 out of 5. There are like 5 or 6 games, and I do find this happens, by the way, in general. Like in 2024 so far, I've given no 5 out of 5s. But I do find in general they will clump. I'll go through like 5 months without a single 5 out of 5, and then I'll be like, 3 back to back. Here you go. And anyways, case, Fall of the Mountain King, solid game. I really enjoyed this one. But sorry, I covered Fall of the Mountain King. The Witcher Old World. I love this game. I've dove into this game multiple times. I still have not played the expansions, unfortunately. I want to. I just haven't done so yet. But I love The Witcher Old World. I love the dynamic gameplay in general. The adventuring you have. I love the leveling up. I want to play through the expansions and in terms of the additional monster content. But I love this game. I've had a ton of fun with this adventure game and still recommend it heavily. We have Ruination. Played this for the first time in 2021. I kind of liked it, but also wasn't fully in love with it. I liked it. I played the expansion recently, and I really enjoyed the game. I don't know what changed between my first plays of the game and diving into it again. I think the expansion does help, but I think that I think it's also one that might just come down to how good your plays are or the people you're playing with, because I've had good games of Ruination and I've had great games of Ruination. And even now, diving into the expansion, it's one that like just barely creeped into my top 100 last year. It was like really high up, like 97 or something. I don't know. It was high up in my top 100, but it's one that I don't know whether it'll be there next year. It really depends on whether as I continue to play it. It could be one of those games that floats in and out around the edges. I like Ruination a lot. It's just area control is a heavily contested field for me, but for right now, the expansion has brought it back for me. We have Eco's First Continent, a game I played for the first time in 2021, May 2021, and I kept that one for maybe 2 or 3 years. I really liked Ecos. From John D. Clear, I thought it was a very solid game, but it's also one that I didn't love. I enjoyed it, I kept it for like 2 years, and then I moved on from it. I like the game, I like the expansion. It's a puzzly little shared domain of trying to build out various tribes, various animals and the ways they interact with each other. Lots of scoring opportunities, very clever, very variable system. Not necessarily the cleanest system, which is my issue with it. So it's one that I enjoyed, one I like, and one that I recommend, but also one I eventually moved away from after a few years. In May of 2022, we have First in Flight. I really enjoyed that one. It's one that I did express in my review that I was concerned about the long-term replayability. It felt similar game to game as I played it. And in general, I appreciate games that give you a different puzzle every time you play it. I don't like just iterating. I want to feel different when I play it. And First in Flight, as much as I like the game, I believe I gave it a 4 out of 5, it is one that I expressed that I do have concerns about long-term replayability, and that did hold up. I got the eventual copy of it, I played it, and it's not one that I necessarily felt the need to keep after that. As I got a few more plays in and then moved on from it. It's a fun little push your luck system. It just felt, even though there are things that mix it up, there are characters, there are cars, there are some small things, but the overall gameplay arc I think is very, very good, but not one that held my interest past a few plays. We have the Guild of Merchant Explorers from May 2022 from AEG. I thought it's a solid game, not one I loved. It felt like a roll and write without actually being a roll and write. You're placing little tiles down on the board or little houses or whatever as you expand in this domain. You're getting further and further every time you do. You're building up clumps of land. It's a fun game. I played it again, like, I don't know, maybe, I think PAX Unplugged this year I played it again. But anyways, for the Guild of Merchant Explorers, I think it's fun. I think it's fine. I enjoy it, but I don't love it. I moved on from that one after maybe a few months, maybe it was right away. It might have been right away. I may not have held on to it at all. I don't know. We have Lunar Rush. This is a tough one. Lunar Rush falls into the category of, this is like a mini graveyard full of games where the game is great, but the game doesn't look great. To me, at least. My own personal opinion, the game doesn't look great. And I do find that those games, I just don't pull them off the shelf. You have to be a great, great, great game for me to power past a game that doesn't pull me in visually. And Lunar Rush, I thought was a very solid experience, but it didn't pull me in visually. I think that game deserves better graphic design, better art, better production. As it stands, Lunar Rush is a solid game, but not one I ultimately felt the need to keep. It's a good game, but I just have a hard... There's so many great games that look great, that pulling a game off the shelf that looks not great, but is great, is just a hard sell overall. And we also have Now or Never. Now or Never is a game that I played a few times. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very solid game. I also thought it ran too long. And that did prove to be its downfall eventually. It's a game that I still like. I still think Now or Never is very solid. It's from Red Raven Games. I just think there are other games I'd rather play. If I'm playing an adventure game that long, if I'm going to play a 2.5 hour, 3 hour long adventure game, I'll pull out The Witcher instead. This game also runs long, but I enjoy the puzzle more. Now or Never is good. And there is a mode, I cover this in my review, there is a variant from the designer that is a shorter way of playing the game. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save it for me. I've still had fun with Now or Never. I still recommend Now or Never, but it just limited game time combined with a long game length just made it a hard one for me to table. And then lastly, we have Skyrise. Skyrise last week for May 2022. We have Skyrise, which finally delivered. So I actually hope to be playing Skyrise imminently, but at the time I played Skyrise, really enjoyed it. I do not know if it's a keeper yet. I'm still not sure. Again, there's so many great games out there that you have a game has to be really, really great for me to hold on to it, which honestly, there's a decent amount of games that have managed to stand the test of time here, or that I've played, enjoyed, and are still present. But very few games are guaranteed to be safe, and Skyrise is in that category. For right now, I'm still looking forward to playing it. Very unique bidding mechanism from Metropolis back in the day. It's actually been done recently. Oh my gosh, what's the name of the game? The Calico people. The Calico people are Flat. No, who does Calico and Cascadia? I'm blanking on their name. Cascadia is done by Flat Out Games, right? Flat Out Games. That's the name of the company. I think it's Flat Out Games. Anyways, Flat Out Games recently did Nocturne, which has the same bidding mechanism. I do think Metropolis is a better implementation of it, while Nocturne is interesting in terms of the scoring combination. But I'm looking forward to diving into Skyrise very shortly. I hope to dive into that as soon as I possibly can. The game looks great. I'm very excited for it. And now I just want to play it. So that should hopefully happen soon. It's been prepped. It's ready to go. And I want to play the game. Anyways, moving on from there, we have May 2023. May 2023, we have a few things. We have Resist. I played Resist from Salt and Pepper Games. I overall enjoyed Resist. For me, I'm looking forward to playing their next one, the witch-based one, whatever it's called, because as much as I liked Resist, I did have some complaints against it, and I've heard from anyone who's played the witch game, I've heard it's basically Resist but better. And I liked Resist enough that even though it didn't last, I definitely want to try something that is Resist but better. I like the solo campaign. That was at least variable enough to keep my interest a little longer. We have Descent Legends of the Dark. Played that for the first time, gotten a few plays of Descent Legends of the Dark, and I've held on to it hoping I would table it, and I'm beginning to realize that that will probably not happen. So I think I probably am letting go. I'm probably letting go of the Descent series. I have both the base game and the expansion, and I think I've enjoyed it, but it's too app driven for me to prioritize that over other campaign games, unfortunately. We have Glom. Glom is a small little game from Stronghold Games, a fun little word puzzle, not really word puzzle, sort of word puzzle. It's you basically come up with a few rules, and people have to come up with things that match those rules and score as many points as possible, all word-based. Very interesting game, very puzzly, still have it. My daughter enjoys playing it, and she enjoys playing with her friends as well, which just helps keep it around. I don't think it's a game I'm going to pull out as my favorite party games, but I certainly still have fun with it, and it's still in the collection for now. We have Nightfall, also from Red Ribbon Games, and also another one that unfortunately didn't last. Although I will say, oh my gosh, you know what I love from Red Ribbon Games? Their Caravan game, what's it called again? Something Caravan, I don't know, but the Caravan game they had was really, really solid. Looking forward to that one delivering. But either way, going back to Nightfall. Nightfall was a game that felt a little bit too jack of all trades, master of none. I enjoyed the game. I tried in the variety of game modes. They have cooperative, they have solo, they have this campaign mode, they have a bunch of things, but I felt all of them were good and none of them were great, unfortunately. It very much felt like jack of all trades, master of none, like I already said. And then lastly, we have Middara. Middara I played for the first time May 2023, and I haven't really played it since. I got one play of it. It is a game I would like to play more. I just don't know how to deal with campaign games. Some I'm going through. Like, I'm still actively going through some as we speak. I'm currently playing Thagomonia. I'm itching to play Primal, ready to go. Campaign games are played by me, but the campaign game time is so much more in demand and harder to get tabled that it's a harder pitch overall. Anyways, and that's going to wrap up May 2023, which means that is your past 5 years of Where Are They Now? A bunch of games that have not lasted, a bunch of games that have lasted, and as always, that's 5 years of May. And we'll see you next month with 5 years of June, and I think there might be one or two more in this series before I adjust how I approach the Where Are They Now series. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.